everyone, and welcome back to another week at the allotment. Today's plan is to plant out some raspberry canes that we got at the range this week. Let's go have a look round. I'm just going to check on the radish that I sowed a couple of weeks ago. They've been under this plastic sheet. Oh yeah, they are starting to grow. That's good. And they didn't die last night in -1. Fantastic. I'll cover them back up. Actually, I think I'll water them first, then cover them back up. Let's see if the potatoes survived and whether this worked or not. Take the clips off. Oh, I don't know, you know. I don't know whether they have survived. Tiny little bits of black there. I'll have to consult with my allotment neighbour, who is a guru, and he will be able to tell me. I think they'll be okay. When I'm at the allotment, I like to do a little bit of everything and go from one thing to the next. I've done the radish, I've checked on the potatoes, and next I'm going to have a look around where we've got the raspberries in, next to the side of the greenhouse. So this is where we have the raspberries. We've got 1, 2, 3, 4. Plan is to weed this area here and then put another new raspberry in there and one at the end. I can see this starting to come back to life ever so slightly, which is a good sign. But this one, no sign of life. We found raspberries really hard to grow, but maybe it's because they haven't been in the ground for very long. These are the raspberries that we got from the range. They were 2 for £6, and Mum really likes growing raspberries, and we haven't been overly successful so far, so we've got some new ones to pop in this year. The raspberries came wrapped in this, and they've got to be soaked for an hour before they're planted. And that's what they look like. It's amazing to think that this stick is going to provide raspberries. Well, hopefully. If it's anything like the others, it won't. The raspberries have been soaking for an hour now. So we're going to put them in. I'm putting in some of this sawdust that they came with. And I'll just balance that there for a minute. And then we're going to use some of our own compost to fill the hole. Looks good. Now I'll just cover it with some of the soil. Okay, let's get the second one in. Put the sawdust in. Oh, pull this weed out whilst we're here. New raspberry cane. And then I'll cover it with some soil. The raspberries are now all in place. The 2 new ones are in. Apparently it takes a couple of years once you start the raspberries for them to become established. That might be why we haven't had much of a crop on the first ones so far. But as we can see some buds, it's looking hopeful for this year. I recently turned out our compost bin And at the bottom we've got some really nice compost that's been sitting in there for a year. I can now use this on our crops this year, dig it into the ground. But that's broken down really nicely. I'm just going to test out my new path that I'm very pleased with and go and have a look at the asparagus. Now the good news is this is the first year that they should be producing a crop, and they are starting to. The only problem is something's eating them. Another one here that's been eaten. They are starting to come through for the first time because we've had them a couple of years, so it's really good that they're starting to come through, but not so great that something's eating them. So I've decided I'm going to cover the potatoes with some compost just to protect these leaves, because I'm not convinced that my bulldog clip trick worked. The temperature went down to minus 0.4. These things were covered in bubble wrap. They seem to look okay. I don't know really. I think they look okay. That certainly looks all right. Just getting the compost and throwing it on top of the leaves to cover them. There we go. That should give them a little bit of extra protection if it goes down to -1 again tonight. Mum's been up the allotment today and she's weeded this area, our flower bed at the front. The daffodils down here are starting, not quite on their way up yet. Let's go have a look at the daffodils up here. They're slightly further ahead. And we have a teeny tiny one down there. In these flower beds up the top, we've also got tulips. The tulips are the thicker leaves and the daffs are the tall thin ones. I have 2 blueberry bushes here and they're just starting to wake up for the season. As you can see, they've got little buds on. So I bought this Ericaceous high performance liquid plant food. This is the variety of blueberry top hat. And it was £8 from B&Q last year. Blueberries grow best in ericaceous soil, and that's why they're in tubs and not in the ground. But I'm just going to give them a top up with this feed. Let's see how this works then. So we use this cap, fill it up to 50 ml. The cap is marked 50 ml per 4.5 litres of water. I'll just go and grab the watering can. There we go, the blueberries are fed and good to go. It's really nice to see the buds starting to appear. Blueberry bushes need to be in pairs, apparently. I have no idea whether that's true, but I've read it, so I've got 2, and it did work last year because we did get blueberries. Let's give the seedlings a little spray. I'm covering them all with bubble wrap again tonight. as it's going back down to -1. Okay, so I think I'm done for the day here now. Just before I go, I've set up the wildlife camera in the hope of catching some wildlife overnight. So I'll come back tomorrow and see if we've managed to get any footage. I'm back for another day at the allotment. It's really cold here today, so I don't know how long I will be here, probably until I can't feel my fingers and toes anymore. I set up the wildlife camera last night. Hopefully we managed to get some footage, so I'll take that home and review it later. I'll just leave that there to charge up some solar before I take it home. Got a couple of peas to add to the greenhouse today, and I've also got a new padlock. This was £5 reduced down to £2.50, and some wooden plant labels. They were £3 for a pack of 50 and a waterproof marker. These were both from B&M. This is the lock that needs replacing. As you can see, it's very rusty now, so it's really difficult to open and close, especially in the winter. So I'm glad I've got a replacement. Much better. As well as my main strawberry area down here, I also created a bed up here, and this is my next area to sort out. An example of the couch grass that I was telling you about. So this piece of grass was growing here, and I've followed the root down, and it's gone all the way along to the edge of the bed, and that's where it's crept in. There are absolutely loads of worms in here, which is a really good sign. It means the soil is really good. Oh, there's another one. Tuck them back in so they don't get cold. If you have lots of worms, it means your soil is good. I've finished working on the strawberry bed for now, and I think that it's looking much better. As you can see, much clearer. I can see exactly what I've got, and I've got space for one more to go in there. I'll grab one of my new plants, which I took from a strawberry runner last year, and that can go in there. Lovely. That's great. I think it looks much tidier. I absolutely love growing strawberries, and I've really spent a lot of time learning about how best to do it over the last couple of years. I use this area here covered with black weed control membrane, and that helps heat up the ground as well as keeping back the weeds, as we don't want the weeds competing against the strawberries. I'm just going to add these peas that I brought from home into the greenhouse. I'm so glad that I covered the potatoes yesterday and put the bubble wrap on, because the temperature went down to -1.2 in here. They survived with the bubble wrap on, and the potatoes were good, covered up. Wow, look at the roots on that. Now that I'm starting to sow seeds at the allotment, I've got this little container to put the seed packets in to make sure that nothing eats them, because mice like to eat them, and I'm sure lots of other animals and insects do. And I was just looking at these runner beans, and I'm not sure if you can see, but something has been eating them. They've got tiny little holes in. Something's been nibbling them. So I've gone through them and I've managed to save a few, which will now be sealed in the box. This is a handy little box that Christmas lights came in. And it's good to recycle these things.